10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
What's up, race fans? It is that week that we've all been waiting for. It's race week, baby. I am one of the co-hosts, and I am Slammin Sam from Outlaw Performance ENT, and I went down to Florida this past weekend and got some sun, but not as much as my co-host, Lee, the Monday Morning Racer. Lee, how is it going today?
Man, it is going great, Slammin Sam, and yes, I have got a whole lot of sun from the World Door Slammer Nationals, and I was on site today for test day number 1 at the famed Gainesville Raceway in preparation for the kickoff to the Camping World NHRA 2021 season, the Gator Nats.
The Gators. Hey, man. You know what was really cool about being down there with you and doing that live feed and doing that? We had a couple of people who watched the show. No. It was me. I mean, I was the favorite. I mean, let's be real. But it was cool to see all the people that didn't really like. At first, they would look at us, and then we would be together, and they're like, "Hey, I know you guys. Like, I've seen you guys before." Or you had the different people. I didn't wear a hat the whole time, so that kind of threw some people off there. But it was fun being down there. As you can see, the lovely hat that I'm still sporting, the C-Tech manufactured door slammer, Nats, brought to you by Jigs. That was awesome to be at. A lot of fast passes. I mean, a lot of upsets, I can say. One thing, too, in the Pro Mod, what'd you think of the Pro Mod class in itself?
Well, first, let me say, anybody, if you see me or Sam out, man, feel free to say, hey, we'd be more than glad to talk to you. I had a gentleman send a photo of me. He's like, is that you? And I was like, yeah, why didn't you say hey? Say hey to me next time. Definitely would love to talk to each and every one of you and hear what you've got to say about drag racing. We want to continue the conversation beyond between the slicks and in the groove and right here on Competition Plus Power Hour. Remember, folks, Glen Cromwell later on tonight. So, Pro Mod at the World Door Slammer Nationals, Sam. Well, I think we still have a, dare I say, Pro Charger issue. And I think that's going to continue into the season. I think you could make the remark of going into the event, the absence of certain individuals was the talk of the show. You know, Stevie Fast Jackson was not there. I was very surprised by that, honestly. You did not have Ricky Smith there this year. There were some notable names not there. Now, there were some names that I was glad to see. Eric Latino out of Canada. He was able to be there with a beautiful-looking race car. And, wow, Belushi. Talk about setting some pace. Wow.
Man, but he had a bracket car. Like, let's be honest here. He goes in, qualifies number 1, and each round, he is still number 1. If you go back on my page, Outlaw Performance ENT, I posted each round on there and the qualifying sheets, but a straight up bracket car. And I remember at the top end, and there'll be a video posted here soon, I went down with Alex's team after the semis and kind of talked about it, and they made the joke, well, you're going to have to run that again. And he said, man, we got a bracket car on our hands, which is true. I mean, that car ran the number, and it ran it consistently. So,
right.
I mean, that, the chip draw, everything that they did was cool there. Then you bump down to, and it's not a bump, but you go to Pro Stock. What an upset. An complete, utter upset, but not really, but an upset in the semis.
Definitely. Hey, before we talk about Pro Stock, let me give a little bit of footage that I was able to get on qualifying Saturday, the last round of qualifying. It worked out in Pro Mod. There was a bit of carnage.
The other fire is right at the car. Yeah, the car started. Since you hit the wall. So we're that way. You can see the
fire team is on the site.
The guy just got
Rick Horde took a little wild ride there. He was all right, and he plans on being back in competition for Atlanta Pro Mod. Pro Stock, yes, man. I posted it and put it out there on the channels that Orlando Speed World Dragway was upset city. The lady in red, Erica Enders, goes down. Greg Anderson goes down, and the Quadra boys take the final.
The light that he cut, a 001. Like, that's taking a chance. He took a big chance. I think he took a big chance there because he knew if I try and go how I usually do it, I'm probably going to get beat off the tree. I mean, most people know it that Erica, you can't beat her off of the light. So there he dialed it in and took a chance, and hey, it worked out in his half. And then you go back and look, and his brother did the same thing. So, I mean, you really can't knock. I mean, you can't knock what happened. It was a great race. I think everybody that attended and people that watched, again for year 2, people are going to come back for year 3. I mean, there's a lot of good coming out of that. If you talk to any of the fans or you talk to any people that were there, a lot of people had fun.
Definitely, it was a great event, and you can feel the hype was real in that event. You can feel that hype and excitement is real at an event like that. So Westbuck, the Drag Illustrated team, what a stellar event they're putting on. Second year, third year, I think is going to even be bigger and better. Look, Pro Stock and Pro Mod were not the only classes there, though. There was Super Stock. There was Comp Eliminator. Factory Stock Showdown was there. Outlaw Pro 632 or Pro Outlaw 632, or I'm just going to say Pro 632 is really what it should be. I think a great class in its own right. It's kind of like Diet Pro Mod or Junior Pro Mod to some extent, but the rule package that they have, you have some stellar competitors in it. Final round of that, Sam. Wes DeStefano, I'm probably butchering that, but PDRA champion faces the defending champion of the World Door Slammer Nationals in Dylan Voss for the Voss Family Racing, and Wes comes out on top. What a showdown of people that were 1-2 in PDRA and last year's defending champion. Stellar.
I mean, a perfect example of that, too, is when we talk about Pro Mod. I mean, I don't mean to keep going back to this, but you have your defending champ back in it. So, I mean, like I said, all around just great racing. A comment here, Erica did win comp. So, I mean, there was just there's a lot to talk about. I mean, I think the elite performance and the elite HP, they had a showing of cars. Lyle Burnett, he went out there and and they put up a good run of the money. Having that car and not really having too many full track passes there. You look at, going into E1, your quickest person for Pro Stock was Troy Coughlin Jr. So, I mean, you've got so much there. You've got so many different, avenues that we can talk about with just that race. But something that, again, I hate talking about it, but it's dear to my heart. And I know we have a picture of it. I want to kind of take a moment of silence for a racer that, has raced many a times at Orlando Speed World. Blake, everybody calls him C-Cop. I got a chance with one of my friends to take this picture, put his hat in the beams one last time. And it's one of those years that we keep looking back and we're saying, how does this keep happening to our race family? How does this keep happening in the race community? So everybody that's out there, remember the people that we see and love at the racetrack. We never know when that last time is going to be. So take those pictures. You know, hug those people before you leave. Even with all the COVID stuff, I understand, but just take that time to remember and love the people that we love at the racetrack. To his family, friends, and loved ones in the racing community, we saw his name across the board on many of cars on Sunday morning. But just this picture to me and what it meant to a lot of the guys out of the modern racing team community. Just wanted to, you know, give a shout out and remember his life one more time as we put him in the beans.
Good word there, Sam. Now, there was, again, we mentioned all the classes except for there was imports at the World Door Slammer Nationals. And look, I know there's going to be a lot of people on the Competition Plus Power Hour here. They're like, imports. Look, how can you not like these imports? Man, they're popping. They're smoking. They're all over the place. Matter of fact, 2 of them made my highlight reel because with the conditions that were at Orlando, so many people on the line and the way the angle of the sun hits, I had to go down to 3:30 and film the race. I've never done that before. I really don't like doing it, but I had to do it to get the footage. And, well, I'll say this. It was interesting. Watch this. Dude, they were coming right at me.
Yeah, I was actually at the starting line. I have that video from the other side with Wes throwing his arms up there and that car coming straight at you. And man, oh man, thank you, Too Fast 65. I appreciate that. Like I said, we wanted to do something to, you know, commemorate his life, and putting him in the beams one more time was the way to go. But man, speaking of these imports, Lizzie Musey's old car. I'm wondering if they're on the phone right now saying, hey, is there any way we can get that car back?
A record,
he went.
New record.
He came from Puerto Rico. That guy is driving 3 cars on the property that weekend. He comes back from one class, gets driven on a quad or whatever, or, you know, a dirt bike, back up to the lanes and runs a 565 at 262, 565 at 262 mile an hour, and the car is doing this. I have a video of Al Tucci actually going up and talking to the driver, and I think the consensus throughout the whole pits when that happened was unreal. People were at the gate, you know, standing next to the guardrail watching that, because every time those cars came up to the line, you didn't know what was going to happen. I talked to a couple of people about those cars, and they said, man, we're just happy to run.
Right. Dude, so, I'm thinking to myself, hey, I'm going to go down to 3:30. I'm going to film. Let's have a nice day. Nobody come at me, please, please. And here comes this import. And I'm like, well, he got out of the throttle to an extent I didn't move. And I'm like, okay, we got it out of the way. It's not going to happen again. And the very next car in that lane does the same exact thing. Steps out of the groove, tries to drive it back in, and it's a pink car nonetheless. And I'm like, a pink car is going to take me out. Man.
Just mad. The Amish guy, I can see the headlines now. Amish pit reporter gets taken out by pink car. Sunglasses survived the crash.
Right. Yeah, they would. They would. They definitely would. Well, look, we are just about on the 15-minute mark here of the show.
Wait. Before we bring him on, there's 2 more things that we need to talk about. We'll wait. I'll wait. I digress.
Okay.
Breaking news, though. Breaking news.
All right. Look, let me bring up Competition Plus apparel. By the way, I'm wearing Competition Plus apparel tonight. You can get your swag as well. Check it out. Jeff and Mr. Bobby Bennett on next with us.
Get your CompetitionPlus.com apparel today. Whether it's our Nitro burning funny car design or the vibrant door slammer design, we have the swag to show you are always in the know. Get yourself a hat too. And we know not everyone enjoys wearing a mask, but if you must wear one, at least wear a good looking one. Check out the new CompetitionPlusApparel.com for the latest from the place where you have trusted for your news on the internet for over 2 decades.
And then there
Gentlemen.
were 4.
Hey. All right,
What's up,
guys.
guys?
Thanks for warming up the track for us Nitro guys. And what a fine job you did do. I said, man, why are those guys not wearing Competition Plus hats? And then I thought, well, I haven't sent them to them.
That's right.
Man.
That's right. You also haven't sent me my Competition Plus sunglasses. I don't have any I mean, come on. Gotta get some branding here going, Bobby.
I'll stop by the 7-Eleven tomorrow morning and send them to you.
Cheap sunglasses.
Okay, here we go, guys, with the Nitro portion of the show. Now, you've already got the track warmed up. Now, Jeff and I are going to talk about how about that John Force?
Yeah, pretty crazy. I mean, I was watching your testing there live on your show, and a lot of cool stuff going on. I mean, Top Fuel, you had Brittany laying down a 367. Salinas, who hasn't been out for a long time either, 369. AJ obviously hasn't forgotten what he's doing. Leo with a 69, Torrance with a 70, only 298, probably doing a little sandbag in there. Doug Coletta, 373. And then you go to the funny car. I mean, Forrest and Robert, two guys that haven't run in like over a year, right? They ran 386, Forrest did, and Robert ran a couple of 386s and a 389. Hagen with an 88, Caps with an 89, Alexis with a 91, already shut off. Tasco with a 91, Cruz with a 94. Actually, today, I think, in Gainesville. And you got J.R. Todd, 395. That's a lot of stout runs going on right there. So I can't wait for Gainesville. They got 18 Top Fuel cars, 18 funny cars, lots of smaller independent teams. So the guys like to root for the underdog. Got 21 Pro Stocks, 26 Pro Mods. It's going to be unbelievable. And you got Krista Baldwin making her debut in the Greeks car. So personally, myself, I can't wait to get there this weekend. It's going to be some fantastic racing, beautiful weather. Love Gainesville track. And yeah, you can't ask for any more than that, can you?
Well, I'll tell you what, in the greatest get you some of this boys moment, Steve Torrance comes out on his first run, a 370 at like 238, 248. Get you some of that. And just to clarify, John Force, Robert Height, and Brittany Force had not been behind the wheel of a Nitro car in 54 weeks. 54 weeks. That's like you going on the craziest roller coaster. Hasn't been on it. You haven't been on it in 1 year. 54 weeks, a year and 2 weeks. And then go out there and it's just like, well, nope, it didn't take my stomach this time. Right? Right, Jeff?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm sure the first run or two, they made a couple of test runs just to knock the rust off a little bit. But as you said, super impressive. Force 86, Robert a couple of 86s, low of the whole testing deal. That's pretty impressive.
Oh, yeah. And I tell you what, I'd be awful excited about this Nitro season coming up because I'm telling you what, one of the things that just irritates me to no avail is, and Jeff can agree with this, is when people say whatever season last year was an asterisk, for anybody that won was an asterisk. And that is, I'm sorry, but that has to be the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I mean, you got Bob Tasca out there, you got Tim Wilkerson, you got, now Cruz Pedregon, all of these guys, and J.R. Todd. I mean, the yellow fellers. And then to say that that's an asterisk going against those guys, I got news for you. For all of those that says, well, it was just a Don Schumacher racing thing. Remember, their winning streak went all the way back to 2019 when the forced cars were there, and it extended all the way into the first 2 races of the season when, guess what? The forced cars were there. So, don't take anything away from these guys. But I guarantee you, it's going to be pretty tough season this year.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and I'm good friends with Robert, and I talk to him fairly often, and he was just dying not being able to go out racing. He's super competitive. I don't care if you're throwing darts or you're playing like cornhole or whatever game you're playing. Robert wants to win it, and to sit out for that year, you could tell he's more hungry than ever. I don't agree with the asterisk thing, like you said. There's some quality cars out there last year, and I'm sure John Forrest Racing is there to show that they're back, and it's going to be a fantastic season. I can't wait to see it.
Hey, guys, I really, 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 I got to tell you, the Competition Plus fans, they're just badass. I mean, I think you guys all know that already. But how about this? I think it was like it's almost 90,000 views of our live stream for 3 days.
Stellar.
That sounds pretty nasty. And I tell you, I have to give the credit to Andrew McDermott and Warren Evans at Drag Racer TV. We came into a place where the internet, oh my God, it'd make a train take a dirt road. It was so bad. And those guys kept the stream going live and kept it up and kept it running strong. So, I mean, our team at Competition Plus TV, from Roger Richards delivering the photos to Jake Simmons knocking out all the stuff that we will have a video tomorrow morning. I'm just running a little bit behind. I do have to sleep every once in a while when I get old now.
So what type of track, for anyone that has not been to Palm Beach International, what kind of track is it, Bobby and Jeff?
Well, go ahead if Bobby want to go, but I've been there testing before, and the conditions were like spectacular there. It was cool outside. There was some overcast, and West Palm Beach is as good a track as anyone else. You're going into Gainesville. I know they've repaved it and redone the surface there, but generally speaking, when it gets hot outside, that track can get a little bit tricky from half track to the finish line. You can give it all you want early, but you can get a little tricky if it gets hot outside. But that's the way it should be. It shouldn't be always, balls to the wall and let's throw everything at it. They had Kurt Johnson there prepping in West Palm Beach, I know, and that guy can prep like he's probably one of the best track prep guys out there. If anybody's got a track that needs some prepping done before you have a national event or a big event at your track. But the fact that Cruz went 94 and I think Salinas went 69 in Gainesville is going to show that it's going to be badass racing this weekend. I can't wait to see it.
Well, guys, I got to tell you, when Matt Hagan came up to make his final run, and actually it was the final run of the event, imagine this. I want to see the look on Jeff's face when I tell you these numbers. Flip me over so I can see Jeff. Negative 185 feet below sea level.
Yeah, that's some pretty stout air, but
it was 63 degrees, and the track was 78 degrees.
Yeah,
I was expecting him to run like a 322 with a 7 in 1,000 feet.
Well, for pro mods and especially pro stocks, the air, like density altitude, makes a big difference. But on the Nitro cars, they're not even close to being tuned to the max. So when the air is good, they're slowing the blower down. They're running less timing. They're running less compression. So generally speaking, whether it's minus 500 feet or plus 3,000 feet, a Nitro car can probably make about the same power. There's only so much you can use. So, but when the track is good and cool like that, you're right, Bobby. You can throw all the clutch at it, and you can see some big numbers.
I saw him dragging a kitchen sink behind him down the track.
Did the crew chief have a wheelbarrow in front of him?
Oh, he threw the kitchen sink and everything at it. Everybody was sitting there saying, I think we're about to see something spectacular.
So,
See,
Mark,
when that happens,
go ahead, Sam.
when that happens, though, that's when I get the cool gifts like this. I had a buddy who was on one of the DSR teams last year, and he sent me a couple of pistons and a couple of rods, and it's like, man, these look brand new. I'd put them in an engine if I had them, but whoo, hate to see how much they stretch.
What? Hey, Sam, wait till you see the video of that run where the flames are coming up over the roof of the car like that.
So, guys, look, Mark Fattori, he chimes in. He says, how about Jasmine Salinas dropping 5 teams all day today in testing at Gainesville Raceway? That dragster going to give Myers Racing a battle for this season. And I was on site for one of the last A Fuel runs of the day. Samsel Racing went a 5:18. Man, A Fuel throwing down some numbers here lately.
Yeah, A Fuel definitely. And they're one of those cars, no supercharger on an A Fuel car. They do run on Nitro, but when the atmospheric conditions get good, they're going to run faster. There's no doubt about that. And if you have a track that's, under 90 degrees for track temperature, you're going to see some big numbers getting thrown down there. So A Fuel, it's a fun class to watch. Actually, obviously all the NHRA drag racing is fun to watch, but A Fuel is kind of fun to watch for sure. When the conditions get good, they can get down in the 5.0s or low 5 and then that's a hell of a ride.
So, Jeff, how long do you think it's going to be before we get a 4-second A Fuel dragster?
Well, the conditions would have to be really good. If they let them have a lockup clutch, I think it would have happened a long time ago. But with the technology they have, and especially the different clutch discs they have, they can run a more aggressive disc and get it to lock up, sooner than they are now. You could see probably a 4-second run. I don't know how soon that'll be. The conditions are going to have to be perfect. But it's going to come sooner than later, no doubt about that.
Well, on down the road, there is a Nitro event where some A Fuel guys can tip it, beyond a certain percentage. Never know what second run you might see there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, if you're talking about some of the races where there's not so many rules, it's going to be a big deal for sure. Same thing if they took some rules away in Nitro classes, they could run definitely a lot faster as well. The good cars in Top Fuel and Funny Car, they're hitting the rev limiter by half track. So if they didn't have any rev limiter, you would see them go a lot quicker for sure.
Hey, guys, I saw a message from Stan that was on there. Why would Nitro cars go to Palm Beach and test at an NHRA track when there's a track with the NHRA sanction just 2 days later that's going to be running at Gainesville? And one of the things that there's less cars at the Pro Winter warm-up, and that in turn affords the teams a more regular, come run as much as you want to, that you can get up there. It isn't necessarily that they chose an NHRA track to go to. In fact, and this is a little bit of insider stuff that Jeff may know, and I know, is that the Pro Winter warm-up was originally considered for Valdosta, Georgia. They were going to run it at South Georgia Motorsports Park. But the only issue that kept that from happening was that the scoreboards were too close to the track. And anybody that's been around Nitro racing and watched some of the really devastating accidents of the 1990s know that scoreboards close to a track is not a good combination when you're running that quick and that fast. So the only logical place to go after that to have pretty much free reign of a track was the Palm Beach International Raceway. And the staff is very accommodating down there. And it was a very relaxed and a very productive weekend for the teams.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everybody's looking at safety. West Palm Beach is obviously a little bit more south, so the weather's probably going to be a little better there, a little warmer for sure, a little more predictable. And I said you have Kurt Johnson coming there prepping the track, so it's going to be as good as national event prep track there, which is really going to help you out a lot. And I've raced at West Palm Beach before. It's a great facility. It's got some shutdown area there. The people know what they're doing. They have a great staff. So kind of a no-brainer to do it there.
Yeah, West Palm's kind of a throwback. I mean, though it's been modernized, it's still pretty much kind of a throwback facility.
Yeah, no doubt. They don't have the super big stands and all that kind of stuff, but the track service is as good as any national event you're going to go to.
Guys, that's all we got for the Nitro test.
Hey, Nitro testing is not done. I mean, we're seeing, some today and some tomorrow. I know Doug Foley. By the way, folks, if you would give Doug Foley Lewis Racing a follow, like on whatever social media platform you're using. But he made 2 test hits today. They're figuring out some new parts and pieces, instant tire smoke, and a top fuel car running like a 19-second pass at the end of it type of situation. But there were some good runs made. I know Cruz Petragon made a hit. They're not going to do any more until Friday, I believe it is. Torrance got on site. Don't know if they're going to test tomorrow or not. But I know Doug, he plans on making as many runs as possible that they can tomorrow and get things dialed in for the Gator Nationals. So there's a lot on site happening at Gainesville. If you're in Gainesville, by the way, they're not really checking anything during testing. You can sneak on in. So, yeah.
Yeah, I got one more thing. Since Jeff and I are kind of like teammates here and we kind of share tuning information, how about some Mike Salinas information?
Wow.
Guess what is that? He was testing the Pro Mod down in Orlando, as you guys saw.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He learned not to pull the brake at the finish line. He learned why you don't do that, because he crashed but just didn't hit anything. So,
hey, I know 2 import cars that crashed but just didn't hit anything or anybody.
Yeah. So his next endeavor, if you read competitionplus.com, you know what it's going to be. Can you see him on a Pro Stock bike? And then he said he may, depending on how the Pro Stock bike did. Come on, Sam, you ain't that bored with us, are you?
No, I'm not bored at all. I'm waiting to see this happen at the same time as seeing Lee on a bike.
So here's the deal. If the Pro Stock bike goes all right, goes well, he said he's willing to jump on a Nitro Harley.
Wow.
Hey.
At his age, he's got bigger stones than I do, because I'm staying off those bikes.
Hey, look, guys, Nitro Harley is already on the premises there at Gainesville. I'm just waiting for Mike Ashley to show up on Friday or Saturday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on, Mike, let's go talk.
As my buddy, the late great Sonny Leonard would say, I would rather wear a pork chop suit through a lion's den.
Wow. that is a great quip. I like that. So, Bobby, how does it work out with those live streams? What, this was the 3rd, 4th year doing it. I'm curious. It being a pro event, NHRA connected, how does it all come together for that to happen? Because it's happened at, I believe you did it one year at Arizona. Then the next year it was Las Vegas. Then this year, this was actually the 3rd year, Palm International. So what's it take to get all of that to come together to give those enjoyable live streams?
Well, I'll just be honest with you. To me, Warren Evans and Drag Racer TV and Andrew McDermott are like the Don Schumacher Racing of live streaming. So I just rented a ride, and I knew I was going to go to the finish line and win. And I think the proof is in the pudding. I mean, we've developed a good thing, and we only do this one time a year. We are not interested in going in the live streaming business, but drag racing fans deserve to be able to watch these cars, and we are so proud and happy and thankful that Chad Head gives us the opportunity and the professional racers organization to bring this. And free. That's the big thing. Free.
Yes. It's definitely a cool deal. I remember 2 years ago in New York, outside of Rochester, New York, watching the live streams myself, and they were definitely enjoyable to watch.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to point out is we've got Glen Cromwell coming on later on today, and what I don't think most people understand is that Glen Cromwell worked his way up from down on the divisional level to the president of the sanctioning body. And to me, that's a guy that learned every aspect of the thing, of the drag racing program. And I would just ask that our readers would be very respectful with their comments and stuff when we do have the president in here. We don't have him in here to solve the world's problems. We have him in here to talk drag racing because the guy is a big drag racing fan. He loves drag racing. He grew up in a racing family. So if I could ask one thing of our viewers to be respectful with their comments and stuff while we do the interview.
Yes. Hey, Justin Ashley, top fuel driver, and was partaking there at the test at Palm Beach International, says Bobby and Competition Plus are the best. He just forgot about Monday morning.
I forgot my wallet. I was getting ready to get it out. My wallet. Some money for that paid spot.
Hey, Sam, what do you got on the testing there in Palm Beach?
I mean, I enjoyed it. I did get a chance to view a little bit of it while I was down there. I enjoyed it. You know, it was good to see how many people go to Florida for racing during this time of the year. I mean, it's like, why would you not? Like I said, I went down to Florida in March and got a tan. So, right. I mean, I really think it's good. I think, like you said, you got a lot of new people coming into the sport. I want to know from you guys as pit insiders too, Krista Baldwin, what do you guys think about that situation? You know, coming into Gainesville now, first couple passes. What do you guys think about that?
I think the young lady is a positive for our sport. And she just happens to be a driver. She's very well versed in social media. She's a great person to talk to. And I'm kind of spoiled because, I'm kind of biased because, I am biased when it comes to her because she was part of the CompetitionPlus.com team and moved on over to McLeod and does a great job there at McLeod and FTI. So I'm awful proud of her. She joins Brian Loans and some others who have gone on to big things. Guys, it's like I'm like the Bill Belichick of drag racing stuff. I got my little coach free here that people kind of come in and they get famous. I'm looking for you.
Where the rings? Where the rings, Bobby? Where the rings?
He's got to talk to the guy that's on the bottom of the screen next to him, called the jeweler.
Yeah, he's a jeweler. That's right.
That's right.
Hey, I don't wear the rings because the bottom line, the only one I wear, where's it at? There it is. But the only one I wear is, look, when you've whooped a man's ass, you ain't got to tell them. They already know it.
Yeah, I think Krista's going to do great. I've known her since she was like 6 years old. I worked at Frank Holly's drag racing school, and her dad back then, Bobby Baldwin, top fuel driver. He had a shop right around the corner, and we all got to be friends and kind of grew up with him, my daughter and Krista. And just a super nice person, been around the sport forever. And it's so exciting to see her get the chance to drive a top fuel car. I think Bobby and Dom Lagana are going to help him out a little bit with the tune-up, so that should help make that car a lot more consistent, and I think she's going to do really well with it.
Definitely. I had her on my show, Between the Slicks, and she's my only guest, had about a 45-minute talk, and really the first time I got to chat with her, what a breath of fresh air, I think, into the class, and a legacy carry on type of individual. And I think she may very well surpass the legacy that has been laid down before her, add to it and make it that much brighter and greater, because it's interesting. You look at her story, both sides of the family are drag racing. It's not just the Greek side, it's both sides. and you start putting all the dots together. I mean, if there was anybody that was going to be drag racing, it's definitely her.
Yeah, she deserves it. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, and then I was going to talk about this a little bit later, but I'm just going to bring this up. Did you guys see, we talked about it last week, Alex Laughlin actually got a sponsorship last minute. Now he's going to be running pro stock. He wasn't running the full season, but now he's running pro stock down at the Gators too. So, I mean, that's huge for our sport. We're still, even last minute, these guys and girls are finding sponsorships and marketing partners to be able to continue, you know, to do what they love to do week in and week out. So, I mean, I think that that's great news too, of
Sam,
what is to come.
Who is that? I had not heard that till right now. Who is it?
Actually, the people that wrap his car, 360 Wraps, don't know all the information about him, but they do a lot of Alex Laughlin's wraps. They came on board, and he posted a picture up earlier today that he said, "Torque the lug nuts, we're going pro stock racing this week." So, I mean, that's huge. And the guy's doubling down in 2 classes, you know, did great things in pro stock last year too. So, I mean, just to continue to see this, these younger racers, and that's the question that we're going to talk about tonight is, you know, these younger racers, how do we continue to get them involved and grow their careers? So, I mean, I think we got a lot of good things coming up in the next couple of weeks.
For sure.
Bobby, I don't know if you saw this comment, Bobby, but it says you need to do an NHRA softball game for charity. I think with your passion of softball and different things like that, this could be tied in, again, here we go, Lee, to this All-Star Week we keep talking about.
Right. Now, will Bobby play in it, or will he be coach throwing out Bobbyism?
You dang right I'm going to play in it.
Yeah. I'm
Looks like he's going to have a fuel race. Will Jeff race in it? Heck yeah, he's going to race in it. Give him a chance. Are you kidding me?
Well,
All
Lee,
right.
if we get invited, we can announce it.
That's right.
Yeah, well, I'll just you don't want me out there playing. You don't want me out there.
I'll tell him, like, I'll go up to the drivers like I did that one guy on that other team when I played baseball. I said, "You guys have a really good team and you're going to win some ball games." He said, "Well, thank you." I said, "Today ain't going to be one of them."
Yeah.
Man,
that number 43 on your team's a jerk, man. He's just a little bit high-spirited.
Well, gentlemen, we do have Mr. Cromwell in the studio. How about we take a break? Jeff will say bye to you and bring the president of the NHRA on the Competition Plus Power Hour.
All right. Sounds good.
Mr. President, welcome.
I don't know if I should stand and salute and play the da 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 da.
How are you guys?
Hey,
We're doing
man.
good, and yourself?
We're doing great. We're extremely excited to be in Gainesville this weekend. So no, things are going well. Things are going well.
Well, we are honored to have you on the show, the Power Hour, Competition Plus. You've always been good to us, working with us on stories. I know you haven't always liked what we wrote, but you've always shown us respect, and we just really appreciate that, Mr. President.
Now, you and I have always talked, Bobby. You know, listen, be honest, be truthful. You know, write the facts. You know, hey, if we stumble, which we will, and we have in the past, and when we do it, we expect you know, to have comments or articles written about the NHRA. But you know, I will tell you, you know, we're all, you know, from myself to our entire team at the NHRA are working extremely hard to grow the sport and, you know, and fight through this pandemic, which, you know, I think we're in a good place. I think there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I think we're heading in the right direction. So that's good.
So Glenn, on behalf of my partners here, the Amish guy up top of you there, that's what John Force called him. He asked him if he was Amish.
That's what I heard. He called me after the show and said he was saying some things. I said, John, that's probably not the most appropriate thing to be saying.
Hey, I still haven't got my answer on religion, politics, and sex though. So he's got a pony up.
So I got to know. So Glen Cromwell, he's about 5 or 6 years old, playing with his Hot Wheels cars. Got a couple of Matchbox cars in there and a GI Joe, and he's playing and thinking, "Oh my gosh, one day I will grow up and be the most powerful man in drag racing." Is that how it happened?
No, not at all. Now, you've asked me these questions before. I never really, when I joined the NHRA, I just wanted to make a difference. I just wanted to come in and help grow the sport. And I joined in '97 as the division director, and it was a great experience working with all of our grassroots, our sportsman racers and ET racers and our junior drag racers. And, it was a great experience. And, you work hard and you want to make a difference. And, things worked out where, I touched every piece of the business. And, the board felt that with my background that maybe I'd be a good choice. So I don't know. The jury's still probably out on that. But I will say it's been a great ride so far. Obviously a little challenging in 2020. Nobody expected to get a pandemic. But the NHRA's got a great team. And Bobby, that you talk to all of them, and they're the whole staff in Glendora and in our tracks have just given everything they've got to make the sport keep moving forward. So we're in a good place, and I'm excited. I'm excited for the future.
Guys, I have one more question. I'm going to let you step in here. I have to say, and I've written it publicly, I don't know how anybody could have done a better job at rolling out from a pandemic than the NHRA did. And I've said this publicly, and I'll argue and fight anybody over it, that you guys did as great of a job as anybody could do after the hell that our world went through. So, Glenn, let me see the look on your face here when I present this to you. Okay, so we got all the sanctioning body presidents around. Wally Parks tells about, well, I had this issue. And then Dallas Gardner said, well, I had this issue. And then Peter said, well, this happened to me. And then Glen Cromwell steps up and says, that's nice, fellas. I had a pandemic. So tell me, will anybody ever understand how much pressure was on your shoulders when the pandemic hit?
Well, probably not. But I will say this, and that is, 2020 was probably the most challenging time you could imagine for the NHRA and our team, myself. But I will tell you, there's something special about the NHRA, and it's about all of our partners, our race teams, our racetracks, our fans, our sponsors. I mean, everybody really came together like you could never imagine. I mean, last year in 2020, we were faced on moving events 3 times actually, June, August, and then we had to make another shift. And our track partners were great. Our race teams were great. They shifted their schedules. We all live in a world of we want certainty. We want to know where we're going. We can, put plans together, and everybody really adapted. And it tells you a lot about this sport. And I knew it when I came here. And I would watch a race team, maybe a single car team that was struggling, didn't have the resources. And I watched other teams come and help them. And I've never seen that in other sports. I just haven't seen it. And I always relate what we went through is kind of like, listen, we all pulled together because we knew we were in a tough place, and it worked. And we couldn't have done it. I mean, I know you talk about the NHRA but it wasn't just the NHRA. It was everybody, including yourself, Bobby. I mean, you were a big part of it, You and I talked in September. You know, you helped communicate and push out information that we needed. So it's just thank you to everybody for sure.
All right, guys, go ahead.
For you. Oh, the question for you. Rolling out into 2021, we're a couple of days away from this. What is the fan experience? Like, what is the NHRA doing to, I guess, better the fan experience for, yeah.
Well, better the fan experience in 2021. Host a national event with all of our superstars. I mean, I think a lot of our fans, you know, haven't really touched nitromethane or NHRA Camping World Drag Racing in a long time. So, you know, I think hosting an event in itself is going to be a great experience to get back. But, you know, really, you know, we have the access that you guys are aware of. Come out and meet our drivers. You know, we'll be celebrating our 70th anniversary. I think you may be aware of that. You know, we'll be bringing out some of our legends and some old nostalgia cars and things like that. But, you know, we've got a lot of plans. We've got Marcus Lemonis that's going to come out and do a lot of promotions that'll help with the fan experience. But, you know, I think the one thing about the NHRA, and I think you guys would agree, you've been to it, there's no other sport that compares where you get to come in and touch our superstars, get up close to them, watch them work on the cars, get autographs, you know, be in the midway, interactive displays. And, you know, our goal is to do that, continue that in 2021, obviously in a safe manner. You know, we'll still have protocols and social distancing and things like that, just to ensure that we create safety for everyone, from our drivers to our fans and our sponsors and our media. But yeah, I mean, I think we're doing a lot to create that experience.
So, Glenn, Dale Hadley's got a great question here. And aside from the pandemic, consider this question. What do you consider to be the hardest part of your job as president of the NHRA?
You know, probably, you know, just balancing between all of our stakeholders. You know, I mean, ultimately, you know, our race teams are incredibly important. Our racetracks, our sponsors, our fans, of course, are number one. And, you know, and it's just a balance between these different stakeholders in getting them to all move in the right direction, get on the same page, to grow the sport together. But that's, you know, I think that is, if you talk to any of the past people that held this position, I think they would tell you the same thing. It's just trying to balance those areas of the business while trying to grow your athletes, grow exposure. So I think that's probably the biggest challenge.
You know, Glenn, I have to think sometimes that you feel on top of the world when good things happen. And even when good things happen, you have your skeptics and you say, oh my gosh, can I do anything right? You know, is that ever a time that you say, my gosh, we really think we do good? And how tough is it to deal with the criticism? Is what I'm asking.
Yeah, you know, I think at first it's a little challenging, but honestly, you know, you got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in your team, and you got to believe in your staff, you know, that we are doing all the right things. And, you know, sure, we'll make mistakes, and we have, and we will. But, you know, you got to have that confidence that you're doing the right thing. And, you know, you get thick skin. I mean, people are always going to criticize or make comments or write things about you or your staff or the NHRA. And, you know, you want to listen to some of it. And, you know, if they bring up good points, you know, you look to make adjustments. But, you know, I think the short of it is when you sit in this chair, you get used to that. And you can't let it bother you. Otherwise, you just, you'd be hard to function and move forward. If every time somebody wrote something about the NHRA and it affected you, you couldn't operate.
Well, how about this Marcus Lemonis guy? He just kind of, wow, is that a blessing, a godsend, or what for the sport of drag racing?
No, it's great. I mean, obviously, you guys watched how things unfolded last year, and to have Marcus step up. I mean, we're excited to have him, Camping World, the brand, the product. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better fit for the NHRA. I mean, we're really a touring campground to a certain extent, but no, he's going to be fun, and he's going to be aggressive, and he's going to push our sport. And I think he's gonna get our sport into some places that we haven't been before, and get us some new eyeballs. And he's not scared to put a promotion together just on a whim. So we're excited very much to have him and his team involved in the product. I mean, we're doing a fun promotion this in Gainesville. Two of the Camping World folks are going to be racing RVs. With fans getting a chance to win an RV. So, he pulls that stuff together in a snap of a finger, and it's great. Those are the type of things we needed.
Slammin Sam had an excellent question we were talking about before the show about youthful racers. Sam, why don't you go ahead and put that in there?
Yeah, that was actually my next question for you. It's, losing people like Jegged and you're losing, we lost Jason Line and names like that. And potentially, who knows what the future holds. But John Force leaving. And what is the NHRA doing to bring in those new name racers and these younger guys? What's the plan for that? And what's the motive to get a lot more younger drivers into the classes?
Well, I mean, I think it starts, you really have to look at our junior drag racing series first and foremost. That's where it starts. And, the kids start there and can graduate up into, our Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series or the Camping World Series. I think, once you get them there, you got to keep them there. You got to create value. We need corporate America to come in and support them. Create sponsorship value for them so they can run a top fuel team or pro stock motorcycle, or even at the alcohol levels. But I think it's creating our athletes and making them into stars. Getting them in front of television, showing their personalities. We talk a lot about secondary programming. You look at the Fox program, they do an awesome job. We're on for 5 hours a weekend, typically 2 hours on Saturday, 3 hours on Sunday. We watch a lot of racing on the track, which is what we want to show. But, secondary programming is an area that we need to find, similar to like what John Force did in Driving Force. If you guys remember that show, it really exposed John and his family to a whole new audience, and it showed them behind the scenes outside of just racing. And we need to do more of that. I mean, we have so many great racers right now. I mean, and you guys know them all. Leah, Brittany, Antron, Matt, Ron. I mean, it goes, and we have some new ones. We have Justin Ashley coming in. We have Kristen Baldwin racing this weekend. But we need to do things working with like Jordan Vandergrift. We got to get him back out. And our sales team has to work with him and Bob. Provide him with the assets that he needs, the decks that we can get the people in the boardroom to spend the dollars with Jordan and get him out to the race. He definitely has star power written all over him.
Glenn, I tell you what, two guys that's got star power written all over them is the Amish guy we got right here, Monday Morning Racer, and Slammin Sam. We too in the media are working to get younger, because I'm an old gray beard. and I'm coming up, a lot of people don't realize this, but I'm coming up on 41 years in drag racing. And when you do an internet magazine, somebody says, well, I worked in the printed industry for 40 years. I said, that's nice. I worked in drag racing in the internet magazine for 21, which that's like dog years. So 21 times 7, how many years I've been doing it.
Bobby, you've been around so long, you were riding on the race to get in the ARC 2x2.
Yeah. I actually saw Warren Johnson driving a Monte Carlo pulling the Lightning rods, a 1981 Chevrolet Monte Carlo. That's how far I go back.
Wow.
Well, these two guys look pretty young, which is great. As you mentioned, it's great to see you guys doing what you do, the passion. I watched some of the show last week with John Force, which is crazy. I mean, lots of fun. I mean, getting John Force on here, he definitely spices things up. But it's great to see the two of you, and your passion for the sport and your commitment for the growth in the future, and you guys care about the health of it. You want it to be here for the next, not 5 years, but 10, 15, 20 years. I mean, that's what we want. We have a lot of drivers today that have kids or grandkids that want to see this sport in a great place. And really that's, we talk a lot about that at the NHRA, is that, we're growing the sport for the next 10, 15, 20 years. We want to see, John Force's grandkids, Ashley's kids out there racing. And we need to do our part as you guys have to do yours, which you are, exposing the sport to new ears, new eyeballs, new people, that will only make it healthier. So thank you for everything you guys do. We appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Glenn, let me ask you, being, and I know you kind of shy away when I say these things, like being the most powerful man in drag racing, but you do wield a lot of power in the sport. And how personal do you take it for the successes and failures of drag racing? I mean, how much does that weigh on your shoulders?
Well, I think anyone would say it weighs a lot, because that's what drives the effort. We all grow up to push hard, whether it was in your professional life, your personal life, growing up in sports. You want to succeed, and myself and the team that works for me, we all want to work hard. And so you can't, if things just roll off and you don't care, it's pretty hard to continue to push. And I think we all of us at the NHRA are incredibly passionate to see success. So yeah, I mean, when things don't go a certain way, or areas that we think we need to grow, spend a lot of nights up at 3 a.m. Thinking about how we can fix things.
Fox has given us 8 big show network shows this year. 8, and that's pretty significant. And now you have the deal with Mattel. I mean, what? I guess the natural progression, as one of our readers said, a video game. Can we have a video game in case we get locked down again? We're going crazy.
We're working on it. Well, let me comment on Fox for a minute. We just signed a multi-year extension. We first signed with them in 2016 and just added another 6 years. So, 2021 to 2026. And as Bobby mentioned, we'll average 8 network shows, Big Fox, as some people know it. And one of those will be every year adjacent to a NFL game in the fall. We won't know which one that is or what event that will be until probably mid-April to late April, when the NFL comes out with their schedule for 2021. But we will have one every year as long as we're with Fox, which is huge. I mean, for anyone that's an NFL fan, they know their viewership numbers are 15, 20, 25 million. To be aligned with that can only help the sport and expose the excitement that we provide to new fans. So that's great. As you speak about Hot Wheels, Mattel, video games, Jeffrey Young, Gary Rosh, and a few other people in our office, Linda Louie and Julia, have worked incredibly hard on our licensing deal. And licensing hasn't really been a big part of our business. And the four of them have really taken it to a new level, and which is great. I think all of us know that licensing, is great to be in the Targets and the Walmarts and the other retail stores, but it's just great. From a branding standpoint, it really pushes the sport. And we are working currently on a video game on making that happen. So if we ever have to go through this, we will have a video game that our fans can play for sure.
Lee, you got a question in there?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Tons of questions, Bobby, loaded up and ready to go. Let's get a little personal with Mr. Glen. So a background on one of these shows tells a lot about a person. Like, I'm in a motel in Gainesville, so I'm covering some testing. But Glen, man, you got some cool pennants back there behind you. Talk to me about what you rock there.
My wife's parents had all those probably about, it was probably back in around when the pandemic started, and they were going to throw them out, and they're big baseball fans. And so I put them up on the wall, not knowing that, I'd be working out of my garage half the time. And got the baseball pennants, got my NHRA sign, got my, the United States Grand Prix, and got a little weightlifting machine here to try to keep lifting weights. In case, if I have to take care of Bobby Bennett one of these days, I feel like I can do that. I'm joking, of course. Bobby would probably drop me in a second if he wanted to.
Hey, there's no greater honor than to have your ass kicked by the president.
But you got some baseball pennants there, a little weightlifting, and of course, the most important one is the NHRA oval right there.
All I got is
you're covering
behind me that say where you can believe what you read on the internet on the back.
Yeah.
He's covering the most important one, and that's the Padres one out of baseball. But I won't go there.
Oh yeah,
I won't go there. But got another question for you here. Do the big money racing, like the door slammers or what Duck is doing, do those affect how NHRA looks at things, or do any of those affect NHRA in any way?
No, I don't think so. I think it actually helps. We've had those conversations, with Kyle and Peter and the big dollar races. You got to keep in mind. I mean, obviously, we would prefer them to be run at NHRA member tracks. I mean that is important. But no, I think they're great races. They're I haven't been to one, but I have done a little research. A lot of fun for the racers, doing a lot of different programs, and it brings great content to our member tracks, and we need to have healthy member tracks. I remind people that it can't just be the NHRA national event or the Lucas Oil event, and we have to have other events out there, and that keeps our tracks healthy. So I think it's great. I think they've done an excellent job, and we've looked at doing some of that possibly in the future at some of our divisional or national events. Little sample sizes of them.
So you're saying there's a chance of an all-star week for the NHRA. I like it.
But there's always a chance for something. We're not. I mean, I will say, we're not going to continue just doing the same thing over and over and over and expect something. We know that we have to try new things. Whether it's more entertainment, whether it's different type of racing, whether it's bringing some of these cars out. I mean, one big subject that came up a week ago, we put out electric racing. A lot of people, were like, oh my God. And, I just wanted to clarify that, that doesn't mean we're going top fuel racing with electric cars. I think a lot of people panicked with that. And listen, you understand where Detroit's going. And one thing that's unique, and what I think we all agree with about the NHRA, is we're diverse at all levels, whether it's our drivers, our fans, and our cars. I mean, we're very diverse on our categories. And, do we feel we need to provide a platform for electric racing? Sure. For people that have sent me emails since we sent that out, I mean, we realize that, we've done exhibitions with electric cars. We understand they don't make the noise and the rumble and all that. But there's a place for people to come out and race. That doesn't mean we're going to get rid of 11,000 horsepower, nitromethane, top fuel, and funny cars. That doesn't mean that at all.
Yeah, I can't get too enthused about Top Spark Eliminator.
I could see the expression of all three of you when I brought that up. You guys all went back in your seat, and nobody was jumping like, "Yeah, Glenn, that's a great idea. We love it."
It's a controversy. But I think it is. It's definitely been a little controversy.
Yeah, I can tell the smile. I can tell the smile on your face.
Yeah, Glenn, I might be the only guy on this show that's like breaking halfway and like, guys, we've got to move that way because, as you mentioned, Detroit, and not only Detroit, but Tokyo and Berlin, everywhere, they're all moving that way. It's the reality we're in.
That's because it is. You can, and listen, I get it. I get it. I grew up around motorsports. Like you guys, we get it. But you are right, and you can't turn your head. You can't. You have to adjust. You have to adapt. But people jump all the way to, oh my God, NHRA is going to get rid of nitromethane top fuel cars, 330-mile-an-hour car. We never said that. We understand that we have the superstars, the athletes, the cars are going fast. People love that. We wouldn't do that. We just want to provide a great platform that, listen, if there's a segment that wants to come out and race with electric cars, we want them to do it. And I think you guys would agree, underneath the NHRA banner, because we don't really want them to go anywhere else. We want them to do it underneath our banner. That's what makes us so unique. I mean, we're diverse. I mean, all the cool cars. I mean, all the different categories and things like that. So I get the first reaction, but I would have to agree with you that you have to keep an open mind.
Well, Glenn, I have one last question before we turn you loose here. And we appreciate you coming on the show, and we appreciate your time. So me being a writer, if I am challenged to write your life story in drag racing, and we do take into consideration that you have a great team around you, how would you want me to tell the people out here? How would you like to be remembered?
I think I would want to be remembered by someone that put some great people around him and let them do their jobs, let them have their, take the responsibility, let them make decisions. I've always been one watching different leaders, and some leaders feel like they have to be on top and they have to make all the decisions and they have to be they got to be the smartest person in the room. And I just have a different philosophy. I am a firm believer you got to put a great team around you. I think maybe I learned it in sports that, you're only as good as your team, and you've got to let your team do what they do good or do well. And I think, in short, that's what I would want to be remembered as, someone that comes in and leads and lets people do what they do well, and be a good listener, and be someone that is willing to adapt to a time of change. And you have to be open. You got to be a good listener. You can't talk all the time. You got to listen to people and take the good ideas and maybe flush out the bad ones.
Well, I guess, Glenn, I'm disappointed that you left out the most important part, that you were the NHRA president who loved reading competitionplus.com daily. Anyway, we want you to come back more as news.
Yeah, I'll come in and absolutely. I'm not nearly as entertaining as John Force, and I get that, and I wouldn't want to be, but I think it's important to come and be open and talk about the sport in different areas, whether it's at the professional level, the Lucas Oil level, and just talk about, how we view things at the NHRA. And I think that helps our fans, that helps the media. Because I think, without that communication, you guys are sometimes led to believe certain things, and it gets frustrating. And I see it. I walk into conversations and people start running in a certain direction. I'm like, why are you guys going down that road? And they're like, well, why wouldn't we? This is all we heard. And I'm like, well, that's not true. That's not true. So, no, I'm very open. I'll answer anything I can answer with you guys. And I think, is transparency and openness is a great way to be. So
thank you for coming on the show tonight. I hope to have
thank you guys. I'll see you this weekend.
I'm actually off this weekend.
You're not coming to Gainesville?
Well, my track record with Gainesville has not been good the last couple of years. You remember I had the front of my car get crashed up the year before, and last year I was bringing the gift that keeps on giving, the coronavirus. So I figured I'm not going to wait around to see if the third time is a charm. It's like, what was that movie where everybody would get killed? What is it?
Final Destination.
That's it. I was not going to be Final Destination Part 3. But I'll be with you in spirit, brother.
Well, I appreciate that. And guys, thank you very much for all your support of, NHRA and drag racing and what you guys do. We appreciate it. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you. Good evening.
Thanks, guys. Bye now.
Boy, guys, what a show. What a guy.
Yeah, great to have Glenn on.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that guy, I have liked him from the first time I met him. He's a straight up guy. If he don't, he's told me before, if he didn't agree with something I wrote, okay, tell me why you didn't like it. And he's just, as I said at the beginning of the show, he's the blue collar guy that ascended to the highest of white collar positions. Right?
It's definitely a good story. Oftentimes we don't get to hear of that process and how someone comes up the ranks, but he was able to do that. So definitely great to have Glenn on, and it's good to see the president of the NHRA, because the president of NASCAR has even gone on to YouTube channels and done interviews, and it's something that I definitely think the presidents of leagues, no matter what they are in the day and time we're in, they've got to show more transparency.
Look,
yeah, they can't.
You gotta understand his point. To be honest, I'd rather get hit by a hammer in the Skittles than to watch electric drag racing. Okay, I think most of us would all say that. Probably not the same terminology, but he'd be crazy to ignore it.
No, I mean, there's a lot, like you said, there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of probably nights when I don't think I'd want to be in that position making the controversy calls or whatever, it may be. But like you said, then too, again, Lee, like we have to have more of this. We need more of it so people can understand. If you look at, the NFL, the only time you hear from them is when they're finding someone or when they don't like something. So to be out there, be open about what's going on, like he said, it eliminates a lot of those questions that we have Tuesday through Thursday. And then on, going into Friday, you see it and you're like, wait a minute, I thought this wasn't supposed to happen. So, I think, with what happened last year and the shutdowns and a lot of people getting more time to do stuff like what we're doing virtually and online, we're going to see, people talking a little bit more and things being a little bit more open, I would say.
Yeah, and he's definitely got some challenges ahead of him, and we all know it. And we'll talk about the gorilla in the corner of the room. We don't know the future of certain tracks. Doesn't mean that they're going away tomorrow. But the long term, you got to look at tracks like Houston. You got to look at Chicago. You got to look at Phoenix. I mean, those are three pretty significant markets that drag racing is going to have to try to hold on to. I mean, we don't realize just what it's like to lose a market in there. And even Atlanta, we're losing Atlanta, but because I live in that triangle of Commerce, Bristol, and Charlotte, I'm kind of spoiled right there in that triangle. But I mean, to think of having to run a drag race where your business model, or a business where your business model is contingent on race fans in the stands, and right out of the bat, you're automatically limited to how many people you can have. And oh, by the way, it could rain today. You know what I mean? And just think if you were in charge of that. How will you handle it? And meanwhile, you got somebody out here that yells, well, you did this wrong. You did that wrong. Dude, you didn't see all the details that he had to look at. And as much as every day I get people ask, when are we going back to quarter mile? Well, that ship has sailed. Okay, it's not coming back. I mean, I hate to say that. And if you stepped away from drag racing because it went 1,000 feet instead of a quarter mile, then I'm sorry for you. I learned at 12 years old to appreciate drag racing at all lengths when my local track went to the 8th mile. So, I mean, there's just so many things that a president has to watch over and look over and be accountable for, and take an ass chewing all the time for sometimes things that you don't even deserve.
That's right. That's right. Well, Sam, look, take the floor, close it as you see fit, man.
All right. First, I see the comment here by Kenny. I agree with you. Maybe, I can get down with the electric cars being a exhibition class, just like we have the jet cars and the dragsters. So, I mean, I can see that. I don't want to see it a full-time class, but look, we can talk about that over the next couple of weeks. As we continue to grow this great podcast that we've got going on, the Competition Plus Power Hour. Don't forget, guys and girls, if you want to be interactive with us, you can hit us up on the social medias and in the comments on YouTube and Facebook. You can listen back to the podcast on all your major podcast forums, and that is Competition Plus Power Hour. I am Slammin' Sam, Outlaw Performance ENT. You can check me out and check out the things that I've got going on, coverage of the World Door Slammers and future races. Also, my co-host, the Monday Morning Racer, go and check him out as he does Between the Slicks, and you can check him out on his YouTube channel, and that is the Monday Morning Racer. Competition Plus and Bobby Bennett, we'd like to thank you guys for your time. The president of NHRA was on tonight, Mr. Glen Cromwell. We appreciate you guys, the fans and the listeners. But until next week, we will keep burning those tires and floating those valves. And we will see you again next Tuesday here on the Competition Plus Power Hour, brought to you by Bobby Bennett, Slammin' Sam, and the Monday Morning Racer. Till next time, y'all, buckle up, be safe.